Welcome to the Momcozy Village Together We Grow podcast. I'm your host, Lelena Rabari, and this is the podcast where we're joined by some truly incredible guests to talk about all things motherhood. Today, we are joined by Michelle Kennedy, CEO and founder of Peanut, the app that connects mothers from all walks of life across the globe to find friendship. We are thrilled because Momcozy is teaming up with Peanut for our Mother's Day campaign to really spotlight the power of community and maternal well-being. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us. We are so excited to chat with you today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a good day. A lot of things are happening, so I'm doing well. Tell us a little bit about Peanut. Did you expect to set out to found this app, this wonderful platform? Tell us a little bit about how it came to be.
I think Peanut was really just from a personal need. I had been working, as you said, in the dating industry. And so I was used to kind of seeing innovation and creation around spaces and products that you need. And yet at the time, the products that were being innovated on were just not relevant to my life necessarily. So I was building cool products, and then the new products that I could see on the market, it would be, another fast food delivery service, or it would be another service to get dry cleaning, or, your laundry done. And I was like, this is cool, but feels like it's all aimed at a certain type of young guy. And I am not at that. Yeah, right. And I'm not at that life stage. And where's the innovation happening for me? And I think that there were so few young women working in tech at the time also, that it was probably a combination of not enough women who had experienced the life stage to be there innovating. And then really just it wasn't very glamorous. It wasn't seen as something that was, very necessarily attractive. And I think we've really changed that narrative now. And I think there has been so much work and innovation there. But at the time, there really wasn't. So I think what I set out to do was solve a personal problem, which was I need some friends. None of my girlfriends are having babies. I'm the only one who has a child. I am dealing with this new identity as Michelle the mother, and I wasn't really sure what that was. And I knew very confidently who I was at work. But the mother element, I was like, oh, gosh, this feels kind of different. And this tiny person really needs me all the time. And I need something too. So I think it was a combination of all of those things where I just felt, if not me, then who? And so my initial starting point was build something that I can find friends. And let's use the algorithms that we use to connect women and men romantically. And let's take that algorithm and apply it to platonic friendships and see if I can't get a group of women together. And the rest, I suppose, is history from there.
Well, I love that you did it, because I think all of us have felt that, like the isolation of being the only mom, or, everybody has preferences when it comes to friendship, right? What values do we share? What interests do we have? The age of our children. So there's actually so many variables to finding, kind of the perfect match for friendship. What was it like when you started to see it working and you started connecting with people and you were hearing anecdotes of different women connecting? What was that experience like?
I think that you build something and you are so in love with the idea of connecting women that as soon as you yourself are using it and you're like, there's a woman on here who is not from the test group, who is not from the team, who has found this app and is using it. And it is that moment of like, and I think what happened that first day that we launched, and I think within half a day, 20,000 women downloaded the app in that half a day. And I was like, wow, that's just half of the first day. That's how real the need was. And I think from that moment, I was like, okay, this is real and this is happening. And the stories now from there are just incredible. I mean, I can tell you amazing stories and I can tell you just real life story, like everyday stories. So the women who meet each other, whose partners are now friends, and their partner didn't have any friends, and now they've built a wider social group. And I think that's amazing. And I had an amazing story of 2 women, and one woman's toddler ate a washing machine tablet. And so had to go to the A&E and left her other baby with her peanut mum friend so that she could go to the ER room. And just, so that's like the everyday kind of, this is the stuff that's happening. Then we had amazing stories. A woman who wore her peanut friend's wedding dress because her wedding dress didn't fit on the day, and she borrowed the wedding dress from her. Or more recently, a woman who became best friends with someone on Peanut and then got cancer, couldn't carry her second child, and so her Peanut friend carried her second child for her. And so stories like this,
I have chills.
Yeah, they blow my mind. But for Peanut, how did that woman have her second baby? But for Peanut, what wedding dress did she wear? And there are other stories as well, women who have left domestic violence situations because they've been able to have a place to go, which was a friend that they've made. And so I think it's just from the everyday stuff that we know we get from friendships to the really serious life-changing moments. And we love every single story because every single story makes it worthwhile.
Absolutely. We did a study last year in partnership with Postpartum Support International. And in our survey, we surveyed over 1,200 moms, and 38.3% of them said, in terms of the support they have in their life, it's less than 6 out of 10 feel supported. What is your take on this statistic? It sounds like you went out to solve for the support that people need, but is it surprising to hear that so many moms don't feel like they have the support or the village that they need?
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to raise a mother. Right.
Absolutely.
When you are a first-time mother, when you're a second-time mother, actually, or third, but when you're a first-time mother, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you're expected to know. And you can have read every book, listened to every podcast. You can have done all of the work, and it doesn't matter. So I think that what's happened is we've kind of fed women the line of, you can have it all. You can have it all. You can be it all. And that's an amazing statement. It's an empowering statement until what you discover is, I can have it all, but how do I do it all if I don't have the village around me? And if we think about how our mothers' had babies, our mothers' had babies in a supportive community. You lived next door to your sister, around the corner from your mum. You lived around family. If you lived in a neighborhood, that baby was the entire neighborhood's baby, right? You were raised by everyone around you. And so that is so different to how we now have babies. And we don't live where we grew up. We don't live next door necessarily to our family or our sister or our mum living around the corner because we've moved for work, we've moved for lifestyle. We're living in a completely different way. And so the expectation that mothers know what to do and how to do it is the same, but the entire environment has changed. And now we have an added layer of, and you can have it all. So there's pressure on top of expectation. And it's really hard to be the one to raise your hand and say, I don't know what I'm doing.
I was just going to say that. I think, the biggest challenge I've experienced, as you shared, you don't know what you don't know until you're in it. But it's just, how do I even communicate the needs that I have? As these needs are so new to me, how do I find the language to communicate these needs? And you turn around, right? And you're like late at night breastfeeding your baby. And you look around and you're alone. And those moments are so, you feel them deep inside of your bones.
You
and
do.
That pang of loneliness it's tough. It's really tough.
It's really hard. Those moments when you are feeding, in the middle of the night. You feel like the loneliest girl in the world. I used to try and explain it.
Is there anyone here?
And you're like, hello. Right. And you feel like you're the only person. And so you open social media and you see your girlfriends and they're in the club and you're like,
right. They're hanging out.
That's weird. Not in that life stage. And then you look at someone else on social media and they've got it absolutely licked. They look amazing. They know exactly what they're doing. And you're like, not me. And so you don't see yourself represented anywhere. And you can't even verbalize what it is that you need. So that's why you can't ask for it, because you're experiencing things. You've got hormones, you're exhausted, beyond exhausted, beyond any level of exhaustion that you've experienced before.
Right.
You're nervous to get it wrong. That can lead to anxiety, and that brings its own pressure. So there are, and in some circumstances you're doing it alone. In some circumstances you're doing it with a partner. Right. Kind of doesn't matter, because at that moment it's just you and the babe, and it's so all-consuming. So I think that what we have to do, and why I love what you do, is we have to recreate the village, because we have to raise her as well as the child. You know what? We all care so much about our children. The fact that we even build business around it means that we're obsessed by them anyway.
Love them so much,
they're going to be great. But what about us? And we can't be the collateral damage along the way. We need the support. We need education. I wanted resource. I wanted to understand. I wanted stories from other women. Yeah. I love to know other women's stories. If they're a bit ahead of me in the journey, I know that this too shall pass. If they're behind me, I want to share my story. If they're living a different story, I want to know it because I want to understand it more. I think we really can recreate the village by sharing the stories and just learning, because when our mothers were raising kids, their whole village knew the story, right? The whole neighborhood knew it. The whole street knew it. Yeah. And we need to get back to that, I think.
I agree. You know, both of us, we provide platforms. Momcozy provides products from pregnancy through early motherhood. We provide Facebook groups. We provide parent education, just to ensure that moms all over the world feel supported. On your end, just for people who may not be familiar with Peanut, how are you all working to ensure that moms can feel seen and supported on your platform?
So Peanut is effectively a social network which connects women across different life stages. So if you're trying to conceive, if you're pregnant, if you're a new mom, you join Peanut and you'll see other women around you who are at the same life stage as you. So if you are due in June 25, you're going to see other mummies who are due in June 25. We put you in cohort groups, so you go into a group with those women, and so you're tracking along the same time. But there are other groups on Peanut as well that you can also join. So you can join whatever your fancy is. If you love watching reality TV, you'll find a group on the Kardashians. If your thing is that you want to, do a stitch and bitch, you'll find a group of women who are also doing crafts and whatever. If you love true craft, whatever it is, there's a group for you on Peanut. And you find your people, and there's nothing that you can't say on Peanut. That's the other beauty of it. It's just women. So if you want to have a conversation and you need to talk about the fact that you have a 3rd-degree tear post-birth and you're not sure how to deal with that, you can ask those questions. There's nothing, we always say there's nothing too gross on Peanut, but there really is nothing that is too out there, because do you know what? It's real, and these are real women, and it's our real lives, and we want to talk about it. So we have that.
It's here, our official Mother's Day event. From May 5th to May 11th, enjoy 20% off core products with the code MD2025, plus exclusive bundle deals and automatic discounts when you spend more. Whether it's your first Mother's Day or your 5th, Momcozy is here to celebrate you. Explore the full event now.
And then we have live audio. So we have these groups, they're called peanut pods, where women can drop in and they can talk to each other. Because when you are doing that 3 a.m. feed and feeling like the loneliest person in the world, sometimes what you need is to hear other women's voices. And there's something so humanizing about it when you can just hear another woman. And sometimes you're talking about lactation, and sometimes you're talking about weaning, and sometimes you're just talking about your day. And that's great. We're here for that too. So it's find friends, find groups, find voices, and then we have all of the other educational support and content as well. But it's really the village in an app.
And that's what we're actually going to be doing together throughout the whole month of May.
Yes.
We are going to be teaming up on the pods and going to be having, they call them the MVPs, the most valuable peanutters, leading some awesome conversations. Y'all, we're going to be talking about the power of being heard, why your feelings matter, tiny triggers, big feelings for our toddler moms out there, the quiet strength of mothers, and the little joys and big impact. And what I love about the pods is it's hearing the voices of others that, and you don't even have to speak if you don't want to. You can just hear and be a part of that conversation. But after the conversation has concluded, you are going to feel empowered and you're going to learn something. And maybe that will encourage somebody to speak up and speak out and share their needs. And so there's so much value in just sitting and being in these sacred places where women can gather and they can share, just like, this is the modern day village. And I just love that you all are bringing that to the forefront. It's just such a wonderful partnership.
Thank you. And we're so excited about it. I love the pods feature so much. And I'm really excited to work with Momcozy on these, because I think that that element, as you say, you don't have to say anything.
No,
you can just listen and you can absorb and you can take away. Sometimes someone else will say what you want to say and they'll say it better. And it will be easier for them to find the words. But really all you need is to hear the response, and that counts. And that's important to us too.
Exactly. We were talking with Postpartum Support International, and it sometimes it starts with just having a feeling, right, that you can't shake, and hearing that reaffirmed back to you if somebody is sharing something that can kind of stoke a fire, whether that's a passion to start something, a passion to start a peanut, or whether that's acknowledging maybe a challenge or an issue that's happening in your life that you haven't been able to maybe put a finger on. And so I really, really encourage people to come into that conversation and with an open mind and an open heart, because I really do think you're going to find something. And we're going to get those details out soon. And by the time this launches, we're going to be into it. So it is all good. Download the Peanut app and hop on those pods. I want to talk about friendship between moms, because since you started Peanut, do you think how is friendship discussed more and more? Do you see progress in the space of mom friends? And you shared when you were when you started the app, it just it wasn't there. Do you think it's being discussed more and more, and then there's progress in the space?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that what we discuss a lot more is loneliness, actually.
Yes,
and I think that we do acknowledge that actually there is a problem with loneliness. And that is a problem that is, by the way, countrywide. Across the US, people, not just women, not just moms, but people are suffering with loneliness. And so if we understand that the consequence of loneliness is more damaging to your health than smoking 10 cigarettes a day, if we know that that is the case, then what can we do to combat loneliness? Well, that is something that I think that is really within our gift to resolve it for mothers in particular, because I can't solve loneliness for everyone in the country, but I can solve it for women who are mothers, who are pregnant, because we have a very specific life stage. And until you're in it, you can't even really hope to get into the understanding of what it means, because what you're dealing with are not just your own feelings, you're also trying to address the feelings that you have towards your child of, I want you to have friends, I want you to be seen, I want you to be supported. And so you're dealing almost for the both of you. You want something to happen, you want that support. So I think that we do talk about it more because we understand that there's an issue. And I think that's good. That's, can only be a good thing. From a making friends as an adult point of view, it's really difficult. No one ever wants to say I'm lonely. It's a really difficult thing to say.
It's like the most embarrassing thing.
It's embarrassing.
You get taken back to grade school and like
100%.
the kid trying to find
you feel really awkward. And you also want to say, but I have friends.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not like an outcast. I have friends.
Right.
But the point is, what you want is commonality. What you want is shared experience. What you want is someone to say, I'm where you are, or I've been where you are, and I'm going to, get down in the weeds with you, and it's okay. We're going to be okay together. That is a totally different framing from friendship that I'd ever thought about before. And I didn't even know that I needed it until I was at a dinner with one of my girlfriends who didn't have a baby at the time. And my son was really, really new. And we were at dinner and she was telling me about kissing a guy she'd been on a date with. And I had a physical
I felt it too.
Because I was like, no, I'm so far from that because my boobs are leaking right now.
Milk.
And I'm thinking about I need to get home and do a feed. And I can't relate. And I loved her so much and I love her so much. And I wanted to hear the story. But at that moment in time, what I wanted to talk about is how are we dealing with like the boobs situation and like the fact that we're sweating in the nighttime and no one actually told me about that. And one boob is huge and one boob is tiny. And how do I get the milk right? And that's the conversation I needed to have. And so because that's what we're searching for, I suppose what Peanut does is gives you permission. It's okay to talk about that here because we're all here for the same thing. Exactly. And we're all doing it. And if that turns into that was good for what you needed for 6 months, amazing. If that turns into the lifelong friendship you never knew you wanted, even better. But it kind of doesn't matter. All I need you to know is you're not alone and that there is a whole host of women who feel exactly as you feel, who have been exactly where you are and who have got your back. And that's all you really need.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of one word of advice I'd offer to our listeners, especially if you're a first-time mom. And I talk like I've been around the block, right? I just have a 2.5-year-old. Okay. So I will preface that. I'm no veteran. But I will say, be okay with the shifts of relationship. And that I'm just so glad you said that because your needs are changing and how you, as your needs change, your reason for being in a relationship changes. Some relationships will be very functional and purposeful for you in terms of mom friendships, right? Yeah. Like you're going to help me and I'm going to help you with daycare pickup, right? Some people have babysitting co-ops that they've started together, which I think is remarkable. And so it's okay to have friendships that are very functional. And then there will be some friendships where you have that you may want to, go out to the restaurant and say, I don't want to talk about my baby at all. Like this is all about me. And you have those friends. And so I think one mistake I made at the beginning, I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but I just didn't know what I didn't know, was I was expecting everybody to be everything. And that's just not the way that it works. People have different purposes in our lives. And I want other people to know that that's okay. And if your relationships change and your friendships, there can certainly be a definite grief to that. But it is okay. There really, truly is, as you shared, you're never alone. There's somebody on the other end. And I just want to offer people that encouragement and that hope.
I couldn't agree more. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves that everything that we do has to be the thing, the perfect friendship, the perfect, relationship, my perfect working environment. And the truth of the matter is, I try and remember that friends for a reason, friends for a season. And it's okay. And that's good. That's good enough. What's most important is that you're not doing it on your own.
Absolutely. So, as we close out our conversation today, when you are feeling alone or isolated, are there certain affirmations or meditations that you share with yourself that help uplift you?
This is something that I'm trying to do more now. So I am someone who I really don't like being on the phone. I don't like voice calls. It's a really unusual thing for me. It's probably why I like pods, because you can drop in and drop out, or listening to podcasts because I can listen. I am definitely a listener. And I don't love being on the phone. And it was actually my mum when I spoke to her the other day. And she said to me, "You don't understand how much it means to me when I hear your voice." And for me, what I'd been thinking of the whole time is how much I don't like doing something. I don't like being on the phone. I don't enjoy it. But to that other person, that can really, like, hearing your voice can be the thing. So I'm trying now very consciously to do, and it's new to me, and I kind of have been learning about this, doing one thing incrementally. You'll get better over time rather than trying to make a really big change, just incremental growth, of trying to make sure that I call her or someone, a friend in my family, once a day. So I think that that affirmation is, I don't realize how much my voice means to someone else. And then you get something back from that. So that's my kind of, it's a moment to reach out. It's a moment that combats your own loneliness as well as someone else's. And never underestimate how impactful your voice can be to someone.
Oh, that's wonderful. You've encouraged me. I'm going to make a call a day.
One call a day. And it can be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be, an epic call. It can just be, "Hey, I'm thinking of you. How are you doing?" And if you're on a messaging app that has voice notes, you can also do voice notes if you're not into the calls. And it still counts.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us on the show today. Thank you everybody for listening to the Momcozy Village Together We Grow podcast. You can find all the information on our partnership with Peanuts in the show notes. We hope you'll join us this month for our pod conversations, and we hope you join us next time for our podcast. Bye for now, everyone. Looking for the perfect Mother's Day bundle? This week only, get 25% off when you buy any 3 products from our curated Mother's Day sets, like our hands-free pump, our warmers, or nursing essentials. No code needed, just automatic comfort built for moms by moms.